of what really matters to patients, specifically when we discuss the value of their data. Hopefully, by the end of this hour, this will spark the concern of giving data a new mission. Data not as the new oil, restricted to monetary characteristics, but data as the new soil. Soil as a living, breathing ecosystem that needs to be nurtured by different actors in order to fully bloom.
Giving patients more access to data and putting this more in their hands, it actually will, but we have to be cognizant of, there are several things that surround this. Is one, making sure we're always only measuring and sort of finding that data that it is really critical. So we need to build that trust to ensure that what we're trying to understand and learn and gather is actually relevant and not going beyond that. So there needs to be a great trust there. There needs to be a way for then the patients to actively, have and manage their own data, to be the curator, the steward of that. And there needs to be, above that, a greater kind of collaboration and agreement processes that enable us, the data that's generated can be combined with historical clinical data and really derive insights for unique treatment goals. And the ambition here would be that having this will enable us to reduce the costs of care and to be able to improve then patient outcomes, and that people don't have to either take medications that are not going to be effective for them or that may cause them to have any reaction. Absolutely, it is very valuable, but we do need to bring that into the soil and to make sure that it is based on a trusted partnership, that we build the right agreements and process in the broader healthcare environment and industry, and we rethink the model of how we adapt the digital strategies to securely collect and clean, curate, and govern that data.
Genetic data is very sensitive. It's though simply location data, and countries and communities can reuse their Earth mapping infrastructure to create local genomics infrastructure to sort out the genetic counseling, the stewardship of highly sensitive data. I'd like to propose is a migration from de-identified to consented data. And the genome is a great anchor for that because it's so easily identified. Interoperability and genetic data, fortunately, it's organized by location. So this is not extremely difficult to implement, but it enables dynamic consent. And that could be the foundation for machine learning and other things moving forward.
Future also, and a part of the solution is that we need to find new innovative pricing models, like some kind of risk sharing models between the payers and the companies. Reported data, and it will be quite important to collect this data for all kinds of reasons. But from my perspective, to be able to adopt these treatments onto the market, I think this is a very important part, that we need to collect the data to be able to build reimbursement models that all parties can agree on, basically.
Types of areas. The medical industry is now using data extremely effectively in research and development for new drugs and for new ways of treatment. But we also have to focus more on social inclusivity. We must make sure that the value that's being obtained from data is appropriately shared between the people who should own the data, meaning the actual people whose health is being discussed, right? I hesitate to use the word patient, but certainly we need to have the inclusion of the person, whether you call them the patient or the customer or the user. That individual person must be not only treated with dignity, but must be co-owner of the kind of data that's created, so that we really do not take advantage of a situation in a bad way. National security is a fundamental question that the science and the technology is moving along faster than, unfortunately, the regulators can keep up with. But we are at the very edge of what I would say is one of the most exciting generations that we will see in the history of humanity. If we can do it right, we really can turn data into something that will lead to actionable knowledge that can be used with advanced tools in ways that I know other panelists have been talking about, that will really benefit quality of life as well as length of life for everybody on Earth.
There's many things that we would like to see happen. And one is that patient advocacy groups would step forward as stewards of groups of patients' genomic data sets. I think that there's some wonderful technologies. It's just a chicken egg problem of finding patient advocacy groups that are ready to step forward, and then also finding, getting academics to consider using tools outside of traditional bioinformatics field as a way of having access to federated data that's available with open APIs.
And we are so focused on the way things work now that we don't consider really the future of medicine, and how we can incorporate this data into clinical trials and just the overall, everyday life and what we're using this data for. And I know that there is a lot of confusion out there in the world because data is just not that tangible thing that we.
And we do need to move more toward a partner model where the patient and the physician can both understand more about the options that are available. But in order to do that, patients have to be prepared, and they have to be ready psychologically for a lot of ambiguity and uncertainty, and possibly recognizing that outcomes may not be what they hope. That's a big change in mind shift. But I think that true patient empowerment will be when we have more of that.
Your own perspective, but you're all saying the same, that it's the data that matters, and it's the data in hands of patients that is ultimately the most valuable. That
data, thanks to the architecture of the cloud, and thanks to some new opportunities for keeping data secure and making it available for analysis, we're going to have access to data on a scale that we've never had in the history of the world.
And patient advocates needs to continue doing is just to push back, frankly, push back to all the silos in healthcare and use their data to, not be told what they need, but explain to the providers what they need. And I think that's for me, the biggest takeaway. Everyone here understands that it's important. Everybody knows that we all need this. But I think there's a huge responsibility for patient advocates to help patients use their data, to let the data do the talking.
We flip the script, and where patients can really have products and therapies that truly benefit them by using their own data to really push for that. So it's all about the collective data and intelligence for me.